Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and of course, today I'm here with C Money, as we always are on Thursdays. We have absolutely stunning topics to get into. Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox. Well, we got some information about that thanks to the developer. And we got some quotes here. It's really ultimately going to be up to Sony, but I have some thoughts and theories as to why it's definitely happening. And C Money, first of all, welcome back, brother. How you feeling?
Feels good, man. Feeling good. Happy to be here. Last week, obviously, we weren't here. You had some things going on. Looking forward to hearing about.
Yes.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back. You know, another Thursday, exciting times. We got a lot of exciting news and fun stuff to talk about. It's a good time, man. We got games, bro. This game right here, I can't believe.
Oh, dude, it's people.
It's
I gotta tell you, man. People's friendly flying miles are all over the place.
Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. I've never seen so many flights to New Zealand. It's crazy.
It's
crazy. I missed my flight for sure, but listen, I get it. I get the hustle of wanting to go play it now. I understand. I'll wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait also.
The clock strikes the right time.
It's fine. It's, you know what? As much as I want to just
cannot wait,
stop the podcast and go play because I got to get my rank on. I'm just gonna wait because I have the unluck of the Irish, and I would be the guy that would get his account suspended.
Exactly.
Oh, I see you got your wrap. Yeah, you know what's
I
funny?
can't wait to wrap that. It came yesterday. I didn't have a chance to open it, so I opened it today. I'm gonna slap it on.
It's dope.
Starfield is gonna be replaced with this, and then I'll move the Starfield to one of the other Xboxes.
As it should.
But listen, it has to stay around. But
yeah,
Black Ops time. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt about that. Speaking of Black Ops, I have not gotten my controllers with a plural S because I originally said, you know what? I just bought a new Elite. I'm not getting it. And then the other day, I'm like, I caved. I'm not going to front. So I bought both controllers. I got a regular one and I got the Elite because you know what? Why not? I don't spend a lot of money. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat the hell out of myself. Well, here we go. But the second topic of the show actually is a bit of a leapfrog kind of a topic because we learned earlier this week that Sony tried to lock up Crimson Desert by offering an exclusivity deal with the developer, and the developer said no. Now they said no because they believe that if they self-publish the game, which they are doing, that they would make more money having it on multiple platforms as opposed to just one being PlayStation 5, and they are correct in saying so. I believe that the exclusivity window or circle for Sony is going to start to shrink based on some of the things that we've seen with with Square Enix. But I'm just kind of going to shift it a little bit over to the Korean development community, which has blown up on the scene. And there are 4 games that ultimately are just primed to skip Xbox, and they're not. They're all going to be on Xbox day and date. The Series S isn't holding anything back. And I think that the plan that Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer and company have for the Korean development community is massive. I think it's going to be a big boom coming to Xbox. And like I said, we're going to be pointing to a couple of some thoughts and some theories regarding games like, even though it's Japan, it's still an Asian developer. Look at all the success that some of the stuff that Sega and Atlas have done, right? Yes, that is Japan, sure, but we're seeing other Korean developers, and I think Crimson Desert, first of all, looks absolutely astoundingly good, and it's going to make numbers. It's going to do numbers on Xbox, and I'm glad that it's happening. We're going to get into that on the second half, but glad to have you back here, C Money, and of course, again, everyone that's and again, if you're doing double duty and you're watching the show and playing Call of Duty, good on you. I'm gonna wait. Like I was saying before, I have the unluck of the Irish, meaning that my account would probably be suspended because I broke the rules. Because I saw something happen yesterday. Like IGN was the first to say, and listen, we've all done it. Look, IGN didn't do anything wrong. Tom Henderson's site is talking about it. Charlie Intel's talking about it. Hey, if you want to play early, fly out to New Zealand. And the community manager for Xbox was like, I don't understand why sites are saying to do this, because it isn't our guidelines that you shouldn't do it. You're not supposed to do it. Look, everyone's excited to play the game. If you're outside of New Zealand and you happen to fly in, hey, listen, good on you. I'm not going to take the chance. I'm going to wait like a regular person, because, like I said, I just have bad luck like that, and I'm not trying to get suspended when I'm trying to get my rank on. So,
Facts.
I will just.
All right, one day is not going to kill us. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. We'll survive. Clute says to check your DM. There's some breaking news.
Okay, hold on a sec here. Let me just check the DM. Let's see. Okay, so according to Astal, and of course, thanks to Clute, as always, that is Abdel114 in the chat. So thank you, kind sir, for the DM. According to Astal, which is at ASTARANX on Twitter, there has been a real boost for Xbox Series X and S sales in Japan, while PS5 sales are stagnant. Here are the differences between 2 weeks ago and now. So 2 weeks ago, the Xbox Series X had sold the Xbox Series console had sold 425 units, as opposed to PlayStation 5, which sold 11,804 units. Obviously, they move it a week later, and there's been a lot of moving and shaking. This is obviously potentially some rumblings post Tokyo Game Show 2024. Xbox Series X has sold 4,438, as opposed to the PlayStation, which again, it went down a little bit. It's still selling at 11,315. Listen, this is it's a big deal. Now, is it a deal? Is it a deal breaker? Is Xbox going to be ruling the roost over in Japan? It is not. Though this is incredibly promising. 1 week they sold 425 units. The next week they sold 4,438. Now, again, that's a massive boost for Xbox in a region, see money, that normally doesn't sell Xboxes. And I think that the handshaking or the moving and shaking that Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer did while they were in Japan during Tokyo Game Show, we saw it. They kept taking pictures. They stopped at every booth. I don't think that it was just photo ops, money. I really think that there was some business behind it. Hey, we want your games on our console. Our gamers want your games on our console. Oh, PS, absolutely. By the way, look what Metaphor did. Look what Persona 3 Reloaded did. Look what some of the other games from Korea have done. I mean, there is proof that Xbox players buy games, and more importantly, buy games from the East. And I think that's incredibly important. Again, this is a mini topic, and thanks to Abdel114 for bringing this up to bringing it up to our attention. Let's get your hot take on this. Do you think that there's going to be a change in the way business is done concerning Xbox in Japan?
I mean, as far as like games coming to Xbox that would have previously skipped, yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see that in a major way. I mean, if anything, I know Japan is different from Korea, but when you read that part where the Crimson Desert Pearl Abyss team put out there that they were offered, the deal and to take a year, exclusive away from Xbox. Look, at this point, you're starting to see that they're wanting to move away from that because there's a lot of money to be made. But they also brought up, Stellar Blade, right? In that like they brought up the other team, which was the people who made Stellar Blade, saying like,
Right.
you know, they were smaller, right? Like
Yeah.
they're smaller, they don't really have the capability. So I think, you know, I think what all this has shown is that these people, it's not some allegiance to Sony, right? It's not
It's money,
some,
brother. It's money.
hey, we need Sony, we love Sony, so we don't love Xbox, we want to give it to Sony. No, no, not at all. What it's clear is that, you know, these smaller devs, and let's be clear, that's what Sony targets, right? Sony targets these smaller devs, right? These smaller devs to come out here and do this. This is what you've seen this whole time. And somebody like Stellar Blade, these people, they just need the help. And they figure if anybody's going to offer them help, maybe Sony, you know, goes behind the scene. We don't know if it's like a bid, if they're going to everybody, or if Sony goes to them first and they're like, oh yeah, sure, I love that idea, and they take it. But I think anybody who's self-sufficient as a company and it's third party, right? Like they're putting their games everywhere. Why? I mean, we've seen time and time again where coming later screws over your game, right? And unfortunately for Sony, they don't, as much as all these people want to come out here and, you know, pretend that Sony is some massive success for these smaller titles. Unfortunately, we see time and time again these exclusive deals don't amount to much of anything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. Like Stellar Blade was #1 on MPD for April, right? Across the board, right? And it's still only sold approximately 1 million. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, understand that. And it's funny because there's some people out there who's trying to look at MPDs right now, talking about another certain little game that came out and are gassed up about it. But it wasn't #1, right? It was still lower. And at the end of the day, as much as people are excited about that, I still want to see what the numbers are. You know what I'm saying? What are the numbers of those sales? Because if everybody had a crap month, and then that just so happens to be the least crap of that month, I'm sorry, but that's not impressive to me, man. 62 million, right? That's the number that they always want to let us know. There's 62 million PlayStation 5s out there. Look, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I need to see the numbers, right? And what the publishers are seeing is they don't see those numbers, right? They don't see those numbers. They're not looking at 62 million on a PlayStation, you know, quote unquote, how many PlayStation 5s are out there, right? We know that not all of them are underneath TVs, but still, that's the number they tout. And if that were the case, these companies should be able to go exclusive and sell a lot more than 1 million, right? Like that should just be what it is. And frankly, I don't think these bigger companies are okay with that. You know, this company, like they have ambition, right? Crimson Desert, right? Like they know their game is good. They know it's going to be a big deal.
Yes.
They're looking at like Witcher 3 level, right? Like that's their goal, right? So why would you like pigeonhole yourself, right? Why would you stop yourself? And I think Japan is going to follow the same suit. We're seeing tons of success for Japanese games on Xbox, especially, you know, it doesn't matter where the game's bought, right? The fact of the matter is that Xbox has come out and in their marketing took games that never were huge hits, were always like cult classics, like, you know what I'm saying, like that people enjoyed who were into it. But all of a sudden, Xbox got the marketing for games like Persona 3 Reloaded or Metaphor, and all of a sudden, these games are doing numbers that they've never done.
Correct.
In faster than they've ever done it.
Yep.
Right. So you can say what you want, right? You can say, oh, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people bought it on PlayStation. Doesn't matter. Right. It was still the Xbox marketing that went ahead and put that out there. Right. The same way, if it were the other way around, they would say that every game sold was because of the PlayStation marketing. Right. But I just see at the end of the day that Japan they're not blind. Right. They don't have this separate tab. Look at what they have to look at. Final Fantasy, disappointment, right? Every single game that they put out, disappointment. Square Enix has so many games that they release exclusively with PlayStation that failed to meet expectations, right? Like it's nonstop. Like we have so many of them. Right.
Yeah, it's one after another. And again, you know, interestingly enough, see, I kind of want to throw this out there. I'm not a big coincidence kind of a guy. I'm not. I think things happen for reasons. So some people call it luck, some people call it coincidence. I don't believe in either. I think, especially in business, I don't think it's a coincidence that a few of the marketed games from Atlas did numbers that they've never done before, and
Yep.
in succession. First, it was Persona 3 Reloaded, right? And it had the best debut of any Persona before it. Why? Now, granted, it wasn't exclusive to Xbox, but they did have the marketing, and they did market the H out of it. Now, it did numbers, banger numbers, actually, on Steam. Now, I understand that one doesn't have anything to do with the other, but if we're talking about blocking something from multiple platforms and putting it on one, i.e., PlayStation 5, you're going to get less sales. Now, the question is, why is that? Well, it's a bit of a niche game. Not everybody likes Persona. Hell, I don't even like Persona. I'm going to try it now thanks to Metaphor, but it is a bit of a niche genre for sure. It has a big audience, but it's still considered niche. It was available everywhere, and it made numbers that it's never made before. Metaphor comes out, and the Metaphor is a phenomenal game of the year type of game. No, there's no question about it. It is in the running for game of the year, and it's in the running of the game of the year for me personally. But the marketing was done through Xbox, and guess what? Xbox gamers responded in a big way. They sold a lot of copies of this game on Xbox, and it sold a lot of copies across multiple platforms. Crimson Desert is a game, and it's a game from a Korean developer that I think Xbox is going to bring in a big way. I think they're going to support that community, and as they should. And you know something? I think, and again, it's an opinion, folks. It's not a rubber stamp against Sony. I do think that Sony's days of exclusivity, that window is starting to close a bit. Now, is it going to stay shut? I don't think so, because money does talk, but I do not think it's going to be as widespread as other people think. Any additional thoughts on that?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's the only thing Sony has, right? Like, I know there's a lot of people who are pretending that remasters and remakes and all this stuff, they all count as games that Sony is releasing. But I'm sorry, like that's some lame ass stuff, right? Nobody bought a PlayStation 5 looking for remakes and remasters of PlayStation 4 games, right? Like let's stop acting like that's a thing. Nobody's looking for that. So that doesn't matter. And then I do see people trying to count these quote unquote first party IP, right? But second party jobs, right? And this is the thing. I don't know about you, Boom, but you know, when I bought my PlayStation 5, right? When I spent my money on this thing, and or we spent our money on this thing, right? I did not buy it with the thoughts in my head, man, I wonder what money hat PlayStation is going to do to justify the purchase that I've made. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what third party game are they going to take away from Xbox that is going to make me feel good about owning a PlayStation. That's not why you buy, because there's no way of knowing what that's going to be, right?
Correct.
Like that's just made up stuff, right? Like at any given moment they could get something or not. Just like they got denied right now for Pearl Abyss's game, right? And they got okayed for Stellar Blade. You don't know what they're going to be able to get or not get, especially what you're talking about where things are changing. And I think a lot of these companies, they're either going to have to spend a lot more to get these exclusives,
Very true.
which for them might still be worth it because they don't have the games that are going to take that place, right? So for them, they may feel like, all right, if I spend 50 million on this, it's still better than me, dropping a $500 million or $300 million game that's not going to recoup that cost anytime soon, right? But the fact is, at the end of the day, they're spending this money on, and as a PlayStation player, that's not what I was looking for, right? The only thing I counted on in my mind was Naughty Dog would be making a game that I thought would be dope at some point. Insomniac should be making a game that I thought would be dope at some point. Who I don't even know who else they own anymore. I've lost so much track, but like first party, right? Like first party studios, not first party IP. I don't give a shit about the IP, right? Like some no-name company can get the Halo IP. That's not going to make me excited. Like if some bootlegging company comes along and tries to make a Halo game, it's going to be like, what the like, who are you? Like, what are you going to do with this game, right? Like, I would have to see it at the end to see if it's worth it. But like at the end of the day, I want the first party studios making games. That's where I look at it like, okay, that's what I came for, right? But when this generation has been nothing but let down, right? Where this generation for me has been Spider-Man 2, that's Spider-Man 1, right? PlayStation 4 game that they just extended and put a story on top of it. Great, not exciting for me. The God of War Ragnarok, same thing. Took God of War from PlayStation 4 and just extended it. I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure there's PlayStation people in here. If you guys know Mystic Ryan or whatever, he's a PlayStation dude. I wouldn't call him a pony. He's a PlayStation fan. Like he's just a PlayStation fan. But he just put out a video talking about like the new God of War, the new Spider-Man, the new Horizon, why everyone is kind of disenchanted with them. And, he kind of acknowledges the fact that it's really just more, right? It's more of the same. There was nothing new. There was nothing thrilling. There was nothing exciting. And that's where they are. So they need to do these money hats, right? Like this is their entire business model. Like it's part of what they plan to do. So the question is are they willing to spend what it takes to get some of these people to turn? Because I could tell you right now, like Pearl Abyss, as much as they didn't take the deal, let's be clear, they listened to the deal. They let PlayStation look at PlayStation look at the entire game. They let PlayStation make an offer. What they did was they looked at the offer and they looked at what their potential sales are. Right? What their potential sales were. And they looked at it and said, it's going to be better for us to do it on our own than to take their deal. So like, as much as we're suggesting the idea that, oh, they didn't take the deal, they didn't take the deal, but they didn't stop them at Front Street. Like Sony didn't say like, hey, can we talk to you about exclusivity? And they were like, no,
right.
No, they said, sure, let me hear you out. But Sony didn't have the funds or didn't offer the funds, or the deal that they saw wouldn't have worked for Sony if they gave Pearl Abyss what they needed for the deal to make sense, right? So that's really going to be what it always comes down to at the end of the day. And I've said this the entire time, like Microsoft doesn't like doing this. That's the only reason Sony is even in the discussion. If Phil woke up one morning and said, you know what? I'm going to meet with Satya. I think we need to change our business model to include third-party exclusive deals. If that were to ever happen, God forbid for Sony, if that were to ever happen, there is no world where PlayStation would have a shot, right? Because this is not pony console war nonsense.
No, this is business talk,
brother. Yeah. Big business is big dollars. Big dollars is what Sony doesn't have in comparison to Microsoft, right? They have big dollars compared to you and I, right? And compared to, most other smaller companies. But if you want to get into a bidding war, Microsoft is not the dude to do it with, right? Like they're not the ones, right? So Sony is just lucky that Microsoft has no desire to do these types of things in a major way, right? So I do believe that Sony will nonstop continue. I do believe that every single company they approach, for the most part, as long as they're not reaching too high up, right? They have to keep it, mid to lower tier, size companies, right? I still think that they're always going to have that audience. The company is going to listen. The company is going to say, make your offer. And then at the end of the day, they're going to weigh it out, right? A team like the people who made Stellar Blade, they just, at the end of the day, they needed it, right? They needed it. Sony came knocking, I'm assuming. I don't think Stellar Blade went to them, right? I think Stellar Blade was planning to release everywhere. That's what we know. It was going to go everywhere.
Announced for Xbox. Yeah, of course it was.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was going everywhere. Sony slid in their DMs and was like, listen, let us make you an offer you can't refuse. Now, also, just so you know, to be clear, in business world, there are deals that you can offer that can be shopped. And then there are deals where it's either you're going to do this or you're not. If you don't want it, no problem. You walk away, but you're not shopping this deal. You're not going to talk to everybody else. My deal is for now. You either want it or you don't. And it's very easy for them to be put in that position where it's like, listen, we'll offer you this, but you got to take it. If you don't want it, no problem. Enjoy releasing everywhere. Hopefully your game sells, or you take this deal right now. I'm guaranteeing you this amount of money. Take it now and we're done. And I mean, it's clear that at the end of the day, you know, whatever the way we're offered was good enough for them. But what I will say is that till this day, Stellar Blade has not come out and put up a announcement of their sales,
a definitive number of, hey,
they did not come out on
copies.
Twitter.
No.
Yeah, you had people in the background having discussions. Oh, it was about this and blah blah blah. Like there was talk, but there was no official brag post, right?
Yeah.
Which all of these companies do. Understand
Sony's
this.
notorious for that, though. Let's be fair.
Of course they are, right? And what's the Power World, right?
Yeah,
Power World on Xbox and PC when it dropped. What do we get? Nothing but numbers. Yeah. Non-stop. These dudes were throwing numbers every chance they could get.
Yeah.
And they were spreading out those numbers. They didn't hide it. They didn't say we did 25 mil. They said we did 15 on PC. We did 10 on Xbox, right? Like they put it out there. No hiding, no nothing. Now, I don't know about you. Maybe I'm silly. But Power World dropped on PlayStation.
No numbers whatsoever.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
And magically, we haven't heard anything.
Nope.
Just like we still haven't heard anything for Astrobot. We heard about Spider-Man, right? We heard about God of War. Why did we not hear about these? I mean, come on. Like, we know why, right? We know why. Then it's not great, right? The numbers are not good, right? And that's just the reality of what this is, man. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't think much is going to change with Sony doing these money hats. They don't have the studios to fill out a roster of a year. They don't have the studios to fill out a year of gaming, not in comparison to what Xbox does. And obviously, listen, to be fair, what Sony's going through right now, like, let's be clear here. Before 2018, when Microsoft bought a bunch of studios, Microsoft was in the same boat. Right? They were only having, one big game at the end of the year, maybe something smaller throughout, right? And then everything was third parties, right? This is just what it was. The difference is Microsoft has changed the game. They invested like no one else could. They grew their first party network to insurmountable fucking numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like there's too many. Like you cannot compete with that. Sony will never be able to compete with that. And as much as these people who are who sit there and believe that PlayStation is somehow in some type of superior situation, they're not, bro. They're not. This is just time. Xbox is playing the long run here, right? This is the long game. They know what they have. And it's going to grow. Like if you think Microsoft is done, they're not. They're going to grow. They're going to do more because they already have the title of being the biggest third-party publisher there is, right? That's just the reality of what it is. They have that title already. They publish the biggest third-party games in the world. They're going to keep growing, man. That's what they want to do. They want the business to make sense from all angles for them. They're making sure that they cannot be broken. Not by Sony, not by anything, just as a business. They want to future-proof themselves. They want to make sure all their investments are always going to be secure because even if there's smaller things, come out and they're not, big financial successes, which if you remember, Matt Booty had an interview where he broke it all down. He told us the tiers of what they expect. And they essentially said, we have our big games that carry everything.
Yep.
We have our Call of Duties, our Minecrafts, our big tickets carry everything. Then we have the experimental stuff that we know is niche, that's not going to be selling a lot, but it's important to the art form, right? We had this whole big breakdown. So I love, understand, like, sales are never going to matter to Xbox when you have 35 plus million Game Pass subscribers that you're giving to, giving these games to for free, right? Like, this is just, it just makes no sense. You cannot be Microsoft and be like, I'm looking at the game sales as something that's crazy important when you know you're giving it away, right? But the bigger games, they are going to expect what they expect from it, and we know that. And at the end of the day, they're going to keep doing them, man. And we're in a blessed position, having Xboxes, having PCs, having access to the cloud. These are all things that we get to experience because we are a part of this ecosystem, right? And we made that choice. I could tell you that I'm a part of the PlayStation ecosystem, and I am so annoyed by what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I have multiple, so I can't. That's why it blows my mind that if you're PlayStation only, how you're okay with the output of PlayStation, right? Of what the first party studios are doing there. That to me is where I just can't get it. I can't get it. It's
Well,
embarrassing.
they had a change of ideology, right? Obviously, they went from the big AAA single player games that we all know and love to a gas game mentality that failed, and unfortunately, they made some pretty bad investments, and they are hurting, which is why we're gonna segue this entire amazing conversation to open up the show into the Helldivers conversation because. See, my thought and theory with Helldivers 2, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I know there's a lot of people like, why do we need this on Xbox? Well, if you are someone that enjoys multiplayer and, well, choice is great. Yeah, I understand Call of Duty comes out tomorrow, or for some people out today, and you're gonna enjoy. You're gonna enjoy it. It's a new Call of Duty. It's gonna rule the roost probably for the rest of the entire year. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean that just because there is a powerful multiplayer game on multiple consoles and multiple platforms that there shouldn't be another one. Now, I will say this: it does not make any dollars or cents whatsoever to try and release that in 2024 simply because of Call of Duty and Black Ops 6 for both PlayStation and PC and Xbox. It's going to make the most money for game sales. It's going to make the most money in DLC. It's going to make the most money when it comes to the season pass, which is of course digital content. It's going to be number one across the board. There's just no doubt about it.
It's already number one on Steam.
It's number one on Steam right now, which is
number one on Steam,
which is not surprising at all. But I do have a story now. This happened to actually launch today, so shout out to Jez Corden of Windows Central who wrote this story for the website. And basically, this was posted today, and it says could Helldivers 2 come to Xbox? Arrowhead says it's up to Sony. So we do have some particular commentary that I kind of want to focus on. So the studio's community manager, his name is Thomas Twinbeard Peterson, reiterated this to players in a statement on Wednesday morning, though he included some additional context that goes over why the PlayStation maker might eventually agree to bring Helldivers 2 to its rival consoles. I have a thought and theory as to why it's definitely coming to Xbox. And this is an opinion, not a behind the scenes fact. I'll get to that in a second. He goes on to say this, C-Money. Who says it couldn't? It's not up to us, but to Sony and Phil to duke it out. But hypothetically speaking, if both partners think it would benefit them from a financial / brand standpoint, it could. If Sony believes it won't though. Well, it won't. Peterson wrote in a reply to someone asking about the Xbox port officially coming to Xbox through the official Helldivers 2 Discord servers. So here is where I'm going to go a little deep into why I think it's definitely happening. Okay? Money. Now, just all you have to do is look at what Sea of Thieves did on PlayStation. It did numbers. It sold over 1 million. Now, is that a lot? No. But is it
Not when
is
there's
it
40 million on on PC and
right?
Xbox.
I mean, again, it's there is a 40 plus million human beings playing this game or have played the game. But here is why Helldivers 2 is definitely coming to Xbox in 2025. Concord is the first shot across the bow. It cost Sony in total, between both investments from the studio and from themselves, a whopping $400 million. Sony was responsible for that $200 million bath that they took. This game lasted 4 days and it is gone. It is not coming back. It is a bomb. It is one of the biggest bombs in multiplayer gas game history, right? That's the title that they're wearing around their neck right now. Okay. They took a $200 million bath on this game. That's a problem. Point of contention number 2, C Money, Bungie. Bungie was a $3.6 billion investment. That is with a B, ladies and gentlemen. And that's a flop. That's a flop of an investment. They have had major studio shakeups. The last Destiny DLC, even though it was reviewed very well, and most Destiny heads very much enjoyed it, it did not sell the way that they were expecting. They took losses. Now, their game, Marathon, that has been in development for many, many years, has missed one deadline after another. And we know for a fact that it is currently in development hell. That is expected to not only launch potentially in 2025 at the end of it, maybe even to 2026, but they are not going the free-to-play way, the same way Concord failed. They're
Boom, did you know
talking.
that they already, that just recently it was being previewed? One of the Halo guys that I follow on YouTube, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Hidden Xperia.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yes.
Okay, so he announced that he was at Bungie and they were playing Marathon, to play Marathon. So
Okay.
they got flown over there to go experience it. Now, this has been a couple weeks now. Okay. And so we still haven't heard anything. So I don't know if this is something that we're gonna see this, big reveal of previews come out of nowhere, or if if this was just a feedback session, so we're never gonna hear what took place,
Right.
and they're just taking this in. I don't know if this is going to be them being like, holy shit, we have something, so we're moving forward and things are going to escalate and is going to be talked about sooner rather than later, or if this was a holy shit, these people hate it or don't like it and there's a lot to fix or there's a lot to change and it's going to take us a lot longer than expected. I mean, I think that's where they're at that crossroad right now, because they did have mainstream, Bungie people, right? And that's really, he was an old school Bungie guy from Halo times, and he doesn't really talk Destiny that much, I don't think, but I think that they wanted him in there because they're probably trying to go for that feel. And again, it's been a couple weeks at least, and nobody's talking about it or hasn't come out yet. So I don't know what their timeline is on talking about it, but
No, we will
it's
certainly
getting there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the reason why Helldivers 2 is going to come to Xbox potentially next year, and again, this is just an opinion, is because of the two failures I just talked about, right? Concord's a bomb. They got to make money. They got to make that money back. They're not going to make that money back with remasters. Only so many people are going to go out and buy the remasters. And console sales are not going to help in that department either. They are only making a couple of bucks per console. That's an absolute fact. And we even learned that through some numbers that came through the MPDs for September specifically, Microsoft 54% down in consoles. So you're like, holy crap, they're going out of business. Well, not really, because Sony was down 45%. Nintendo was down 23% in console sales for the month of September. So everyone is hurting in console sales, some worse than others for sure, meaning Xbox is 54%. but Sony not much better at 45%. So these,
which is obviously like this whole thing with consoles going down. Like, I mean, it's 4 years into it, right?
Yeah.
Like we know console sales are not gonna sustain big growth every month. If anything, I mean, every month, I guess. But over the years, it's gonna go down. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. Like that's why Xbox is already prepared for that situation. That's why console sales do not define Xbox, right? Even though the world wants to keep putting the number out there for them and for people to kind of talk crap about, which is fine. But at the end of the day, like their business model has already risen above that, right? And then like as far as Helldivers too, like remember, we heard the rumor a while ago, right, that it was coming to Xbox. Now, to be clear, I have a PlayStation, I have a PC. I did not buy Helldivers 2.
I did. I bought it. I played it. I loved it.
You did, and you had a great time with it. I saw it right away and said to myself, if this was a free game, I would have jumped in. I know for a fact, looking at it, that it would be a game that I would play once or twice, and then it would have just been a waste of money for me, because it's just not, it doesn't have anything that's a hook. It's a game where you just got to play it and kind of create your own desire to keep playing it. And I don't have time for that, right? Like it's either gonna hook me and give me reason to want to keep playing. Like that's just from what I saw of it, which is how I base what I buy, right? So when I look at this stuff, it just did not hit for me. So when I talk about this, understand I could give 3 craps if this game showed up on Xbox. You know what I'm saying? I could buy it right now on the PlayStation. I could buy it right now on my PC. No desire. All right.
And that's
that being said, I'm in it for the ponies, right? So I know that they're gonna be crying if they see Helldivers come over. And so it would just be funny for me to that happen. So that's the context that I'm saying this, right? So understand we did have the rumors, right? Yep. And I think it's fair to say at this point that one of the reasons for the rumors that I was shown, and I showed our chat while live after it kind of came out that it wasn't going to happen the way the rumor suggested. I showed them why we had the rumor. The rumor is the rumor existed because Xbox themselves have a landing page on their back end for Helldivers 2.
Yes.
That is why the rumor came out, right? Literally, Xbox on their website has a back-end landing page ready to go for Helldivers. So that is where the rumor came from and why it exists, right? So that was previously. Now, let me tell you another reason why when I saw this, I said, oh, for sure, this has been in the works, right? Think about what the guy said. Did you read the quote? I'm forgetting right now, but did you read the actual quote from the guy who like the Jez article? Does it have the actual quote from the guy from Helldivers?
Yeah, I have it. I have
what
it
he
here.
Actually said.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Okay.
I could read it verbatim. Are you talking about the community manager?
The guy who said that it's up to Sony.
Yes.
And
yes.
Do you have that right there?
I do. It says
all right, read it real quick.
So basically this is coming from the community manager. His name is Thomas Twinbeard Peterson, and he reiterated this on Wednesday morning. He says, who says it couldn't? It's up to us. It's not up to us, but to Sony and Phil to duke it out. But
okay, right there. That's where you're gonna stop, right?
Okay.
What did he just say?
It's up to Sony. It's up to Sony and Phil to duke it out.
Sony and who?
Phil Spencer.
Yes. Phil. Yeah. So they're on a first name basis with our dude Phil. They didn't say Sony and Xbox. They didn't say Sony and Microsoft. They said Sony and Phil. The only reason you would use Phil's name like that in this context is if there has been, like, they're not an Xbox studio. What relationship does he have with Phil Spencer and the team over there to just be like, with Phil? No. You would not say that shit. If he was talking hypotheticals that he's never fucking see it at all, and they've never been in discussion, if they've never talking to this dude or never spoke to this dude, they would not be saying it's up to Sony, the big, not even PlayStation, is up to Sony and then Phil. They went the furthest extent with Sony And then the closest possible extent with Xbox, which is Phil Spencer, they said is up to our boy Phil to go ahead and talk to Sony. Okay. So I'm telling you right now, there's no version of this that this dude said Phil, because he's never met the dude and they've never spoken about this. Okay. This is absolutely something where they're on first name basis. They've had these conversations. They already know what is happening right now, right? They're trying to make it happen. This is just what it is. Phil said it. Like, understand, this dude Phil, he doesn't just fucking, like, he's not, like, I don't know what people think of him. This guy knows what he's talking about, right? He went ahead and he said he doesn't know why Helldivers 2 is not on Xbox. He said this publicly. We all made a whole video on it or talked about it during our live streams, right? This dude's not going to say this shit and then not go in and have a conversation, right? So obviously these conversations have already happened. Obviously, they're in the situation where they're looking to figure it out. Now, will it happen? I don't know. I think the fact that Xbox has a back-end page for it ready to go leads me to believe that Microsoft thinks that it's probably going to happen. When is it going to happen? That's a different question. What terms is it going to happen under? Is it going to be a game that comes out and we have to buy it? Is it going to be a game that comes out and they took the Game Pass bag? Maybe that's the case. We don't know. But just based off of what I saw on the way that he wrote it, saying Phil's name, the fact that we've already had rumors of this previously, the fact that Phil came out himself and said it previously about this game coming to Xbox, I do see it's very much a possibility that it's going to happen. I am just wondering where does that happen? And I just like I see people, in the chat and they're talking about like PlayStation, like Sony wanting Xbox to die and PlayStation and Xbox wanting, PlayStation to die.
Neither
like
wants that to happen.
No one wants that to happen because it's business, bro. Like there's no emotion involved here. Does PlayStation want to get a one-up over Xbox constantly?
Sure they
do.
Yes.
Is Sony stupid into thinking that if Xbox dies, where's Call of Duty? Where's Minecraft? Where's all these games that they bank so much off of, right? That ship has sailed, right? Xbox is one of the biggest third-party publishers there is. Phil and Sony and PlayStation are very much involved with each other. Their games are in both places, right? You could talk all you want, but MLB The Show does best on Xbox in comparison to PlayStation. It
actually sells more on Xbox, believe it or not.
It does.
Yeah.
So Xbox is keeping the doors open for Sony San Diego. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the ones who are keeping that ship sailing, right? Like this is the reality of what it is, right? So these people, as much as it's fun for us to go back and forth and talk all this stuff, amongst ourselves, that's dope, right? But these companies, they don't give a crap, man. Why do you think all this stuff is happening to begin with?
Yeah,
bro. Sony's releasing a first party IP of theirs, a major first party IP, the IP that Herman Hulst said is the most important. Now, it would have been less important compared to Concord, according to Herman Hulst, but still, Horizon is the most important IP that PlayStation has, according to Herman Hulst. And that IP is launching day and date on the Nintendo Switch with Lego Horizon. That's just what it is. They are transitioning these people into understanding that their games are going everywhere. Now, they're trying to be most likely more delicate with it because of the amount of crying that exists. But like, I listened to somebody, I saw somebody in your chat that says, I don't care about this console war crap. I'm on PlayStation and I've been playing a bunch of games and having a good time. And of course, third-party games are there. The majority of games come out everywhere, right? So as a gamer on any platform, you're good, right? It's the people who treat the situation as if one console sucks because it doesn't have, a certain output, which is what Xbox fans and Xbox, more like hardcore Xbox people had to deal with the entire time when they didn't have it, right? PlayStation people were out there slapping up Xbox people nonstop, mocking them, saying all this type of stuff. Now the shoe's on the other foot. right? And Xbox is leagues beyond what PlayStation first party can ever contend with. And it's not just quantity, but it's quality. The quality of the IP, the quality of the games that Xbox is making is on par or above what PlayStation is producing on their first party front. So that narrative is dead and gone, and they don't know how to deal with it. But outside of that, if we take out all of that conversation, any gamer on any platform except for the Switch, I would say, but I would also imagine that if you're on a Switch exclusively, you are content with Nintendo first party and you're not too worried about the third party stuff, right? But outside of that, Xbox or PlayStation, 95% of every game that you guys are playing are on both consoles.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
a
It's,
fact. Yeah, it's
just the reality, man.
again, multiple having games on multiple platforms is a thing. It's been the thing for years. Look, what one last point of contention that I want to get to as to why I'm almost guaranteeing that Helldivers 2 is going to launch potentially next year. And again, it's just an opinion. So when the game launched in February 8th, more specifically, of 2024, the all-time peak for this game, which was a lot on Steam, okay, was 458,709. Now, I'm getting this from Steam DB. It's literally from Steam, folks. So I'm not pulling it out of my butt, right? It literally is what they're saying. So the last 24 hours of this game, they've seen as many as 35,359. Is that a lot of humans? Yeah, that's a lot of humans playing the game. But I'm sure that they would love for more people to play. And that's on Steam. Right now, currently, 29,679. That's number is...
Helldivers 2.
Yeah, the Helldivers 2. Now, that number is going to
the biggest days are behind it, right?
Yeah,
the biggest days are behind it.
Yeah.
Right. So bringing more people, and then let's be clear, like Steam is the only thing keeping Helldivers going, right? PlayStation people have moved very far away from that game.
Yes.
Right. It's like the numbers in comparison are not even going to be close, right? We know that just pure numbers, there's hundreds of million. What does Steam have? Like 200 million or 150 million people, right? So there's way more people over there with the opportunity to play that game versus on the other side, right? So at the end of the day, you know, if they're at 29,000 people playing that game, you know, you can definitely, you know, argue the fact that there's less than half of that playing on a PlayStation right now, right? Like, just what it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I personally would love it on Xbox, and if it's not free to play, and I don't think it will be, I think it's going to be, you're going to have to pay for the game, unless, of course, they work out a deal with Xbox to drop it in Xbox Game Pass. I think that's the ultimate slap in the face. If it comes to Xbox,
I think that's the smartest thing to do.
Oh, 100% it is. Because again, they spend $1 billion per year to get games onto the service to keep people invested in the service. And this would be another multiplayer game that would make a lot of money through microtransactions. I was good for a couple of bucks. I think I spent either $20 or $30 in microtransactions. It's not a problem. I really enjoyed Helldivers 2. Whether I was just teaming up with randos, which I had a lot of fun with, or playing by myself, pause, no Diddy. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. And I am someone that would be advocating to see this on Xbox, because I think that it would bring a ton of players back to a game that I think is fantastic. And you know what? Honestly, I think it would do better on Xbox than it did on PlayStation. Now, again, the Steam numbers, those are ridiculous. I don't know if, again, at this point in its game's life cycle, would it ever see those numbers come back again, even with Xbox involved? I don't think so. But I think Xbox players would play this. And again, if it was in Xbox Game Pass, there would be no reason for you not to at least try it. Now, if it's not for you, I hear you. But maybe it is. Maybe you play it and you're like, wow, this is actually a really freaking fun game. I'm in. My friends are playing. Now, granted, this is not going to happen in 2024 for a couple of reasons. One, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is going to be eating everyone's lunch when it comes to multiplayer. That is an absolute fact. And I'm going to say this. because it's an Xbox Game Pass. See, forget about it. It is going to be number one on Xbox for the foreseeable future. I would almost guarantee that it's going to stay locked at number one at least until the end of the year. That's just my thought and theory on it. But look, at the end of the day, I think that some big changes are coming. I think that it's great to see Xbox Game Pass subscribers getting a giant W tomorrow when this game in front of you. Again, this is the footage from that I recorded from the beta. I maxed out my level. I immediately, after playing for a couple hours, upgraded to the Vault Edition, which I normally don't do. This is going to sell incredibly well on PlayStation. It's going to sell incredibly well on Steam. And it's probably going to still sell on Xbox. There's going to be people that actually buy the game. And if you're buying the game, that's great. Me, I'm playing it through my service, and I got the upgrade for $30. And am I going to buy DLC? Am I going to get the season pass? There is not even a question. I'm telling you right now, you're going to see when Master Chief launches into Call of Duty Black Ops 6 as an operator, it is going to freaking explode. It is going to sell on Steam. It is going to sell on PlayStation, and it's certainly going to sell on Xbox. But see, we just catch up on these super chats, and we will
real quick before we leave this topic and you catch up. Just I had put my phone up there just because I saw somebody talking about it.
Okay.
Helldivers 2 is out of the top 15 played on a weekly basis.
Oh, there you go. On PlayStation.
It's out of the PlayStation conversation. I know.
Wow.
There was some talk about it, constantly being ranked high. It's dead and gone. It's over. Nobody's playing that game anymore. And just understand, like, the top 15, the reason people do top 15 is because after the 15th, it really doesn't matter. Like, those numbers are so negligible in comparison to everything else. So yeah, it's no Helldivers 2 is out of the PlayStation conversation for sure. So that leads more credence to the idea that they might want to pump some life back into the console market by having it on
so we got some information here thanks to Will Broke Boy Lewis, and it's pertinent. So I'm going to read it first, but of course I'm going to get to the other super chats and the channel member chats in a second. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Helldivers 2 is currently 45 on the PlayStation time tracker. Wow, 45. Well, there you go. Thank you so much for the update. I didn't even know where you found that. I went looking. I'm such a noob when it comes to this stuff. Like, I went and looked, and I'm like, oh, Helldivers is. I know that I did find an article that Helldivers 2, this was written July 13th. It's a little older article. It says so the question I asked was, do people still play Helldivers 2? And it says the shooter has lost over 90% of its daily PC players as well as PlayStation players. This downward trend has been observed for a while. Helldivers 2 has been consistently losing players since March of 2024. So it's losing players.
To be clear too, because I know we could easily get into like how a dig this might all be, but like, listen, most games are not going to keep a massive amount of players. Like, the games that do are already like entrenched, right? Like,
yeah,
the Call of Duties of the world, the Minecrafts of the world, the Fortnites of the world, the Robloxes of the world.
Yeah,
the sports team, the sports games like the Maddens and the NBA 2Ks and stuff like that. Like, those are the games that are going to keep people every single week, every single month playing. Like, Helldivers 2 was never going to be a fucking a lifetime game. It never was. It never was. So
again, it could be in people's rotation because again, some people get bored playing the same game. I certainly do not. I'm going to be playing Call of Duty like it's going out of style. But some people need different games in their rotation of multiplayer. And it does. Listen, it's for me, not for everybody. I hear you if you don't like the game. I very much enjoyed it. I bought it on PlayStation 5. I played it extensively. I will play it and buy it when it releases on Xbox. And I say when, not if, because I really do think that it's happening. But see, Nino Vistic, a generous friend of the program, who's been a channel member for 12 months, goes on to say, Aloha Boom and see money mahalo for providing an amazing community. Well, thank you so much for the kind words. He says, appreciate all the panel members' opinions and chat. Stay healthy and safe. Xbox hashtag #1. Indeed. Thank you so much.
Facts.
Aloha to you and your family. Hopefully you are doing well. Maxie Coleman drops a very generous $5 super chat. Maxie goes on to say, boom, you should get a swear jar for C Money. Imagine the
Hey, I thought I did
giveaways.
good. I thought I did good. All right. I was doing real good.
Yeah.
I was. I slipped. Okay, I slipped a few, but I was changing
Listen,
my words in my mind last second. I was doing a lot.
We're passionate. That's what it is. It's fine. Will Broke Boy Lewis dropped one super chat earlier. He drops another of $2, and he says, "Did you get the Black Ops 6 console wrap? Boom! I got mine. Yes. As a matter of fact, yesterday I took the day because usually Wednesdays because we don't stream until 7 p.m. I took a day for myself. I had gotten a new power strip for all of my electronics. I was able to like drill it to the wall, which obviously saved me a ton of room. And now I got my new Series X 2 TB hooked up. I got the wrap on it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing an unboxing on a couple of controllers as well as 2 wraps. One, the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 wrap, as well as the OG Xbox Smart wrap from Extreme Consoles, who sent me that. It's the old school like black gray,
the green one, right?
Yeah, no, the green one I did already. It's the old school black and gray looking one. The wrap is really nice, so I'm going to be doing unboxings for those. I have the white the clear controller that just released with the gold triggers. I also have the new Elite, the crystal green Elite that I bought. Plus I'll be doing unboxings for both of the Call of Duty controllers when I get those. And that's something new that we're going to be doing more often is unboxings. And yes, I'm going to be doing unboxing. And again, I was going to do it today after the show, but the turntable that I wind up buying is too small. So it's not going to show it correctly. So I had to reorder it with the quickness. So the new turntable that could take the weight of the Series X is coming tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll film those and I'll put them up. But yeah, I did get mine. It looks dope. It's nice. It is very, very nice. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out X Vlog Live with me and C Money, as you do every Thursday. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider A, hitting the like button, B, sharing this on social media. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to YouTube as Mrs. Boom and I hunt for 16K. But we got to get C Money and his amazing channel that he does with the missus out for everyone to subscribe to check out on a daily basis. And it's called On Point for Gamers. They do 4, sometimes 5 live streams each and every week. And obviously they have a host of panel members. And well, they talk about Xbox and they have fun doing it, especially where it gets wild and crazy on Friday evenings. By all means, C Money, sell the brand of On Point for Gamers, where they can subscribe, where they can check it out Monday through Friday, and more importantly, follow you and the missus on social media.
Yes. Well, first of all, Boom, again, thank you, man. I'm glad to have been back. You know, we had last week off, so it was a good time coming back, man. So obviously, you know, find me here on X Vlog Live Thursdays, 12 p.m. on Mr. BoomStick's channel. So for sure, check me out there. But yeah, on Twitter, you can follow me here, C Money Forever. Listen, I'm not like a huge Twitter dude, but I do like slapping up the ponies every once in a while and like bigging up the things that are exciting happening on Xbox. So definitely come, you know, check us out there. Check me out there. We do have a channel called On Point for Gamers. I'm about to throw the link in now. And yeah, we do 4 shows a week. You know, depending, sometimes 5, but we have our morning show on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern, which is Morning Quest with Doodle and C Money. Doodle is my wife, and we do that show together, and we have a great time. It's a very community driven show. We have a really fun time. And then on Tuesday nights we do Night Quest which is similar to Morning Quest, except it's number one at night, and number two, we have a guest typically, and that guest changes. So it's a fun show. Definitely come and hang out with us there. On Thursday nights is our news podcast, is On Point Gaming podcast, where we basically will do more like a coverage of the week of news, what's been out and what's been going on. And that's myself and Doodle. And then on Friday nights is our fun night. It's called Night Shift Let's Talk Gaming. It's myself, my wife Doodle. It's with the legendary Hargishani, and our boy and new papa, Demo Flow Gaming. All of our night shows are at 8 p.m. Eastern. So definitely come check us out. The Friday night shows tend to get a little wild. Why So Serious says, see money, when you're doing her, him, and a pony? Listen, maybe we talked about it. Maybe we can convince some ponies to come in and do like a roast. You know what I'm saying? Like, just have some fun. Just be cool and just get roasted. It would be great. I don't know. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so yeah, definitely come check us out, man. Yeah, we're we're doing good things. We're having fun. We do reviews. We've thankfully Xbox has been hooking us up and getting us involved with the reviews and things like
That's
that.
cool,
So
man.
that's why I know that there's not really a Call of Duty review session going on as much. But yeah, it's good stuff, man. We're doing our thing. We're having fun. We do it for fun. It's a good
Yes,
time. It's not
absolutely.
to be whatever. We're Xbox focused. We make fun of when ponies say stupid shit or do stupid stuff. I meant to say stuff. You see how I
That's
changed
fine.
it the second time? See, the second
25
time I
cents.
changed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the reason why I didn't get a review code isn't because they were not acknowledged. Is that Activision does it's separate publishing, so I would have had to reach out to their publishing arm to do it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like doing reviews. I don't, because it's too much pressure. I am going to be doing the review. This I can confirm, and I got authorized to say it. I am reviewing Indiana Jones. Not now, because the game
Nice.
doesn't come out. But I did get confirmation that I am going to get a review copy. I don't know when that's going to happen. There is an embargo, real quick, that's going to lift for the 29th, which is 5 days away. I have not gotten my B-roll footage yet. I will be doing a standard video of my gameplay and my opinions and thoughts, because I will be allowed at that point to talk about it, to give some points of what I experienced over the weekend. And that's going to be dropping the
Which,
embargo.
congrats again, man. That's
Thank you,
huge, man.
thank you.
Going over there, that was phenomenal.
It was the dude. I can't believe it. Honestly, I still think the channel is too small to have done it, but they like the way that I present myself, and they made an offer that I honestly couldn't believe, and I couldn't say no. So thank you so much for the
It's good to
congratulations.
open. See, I think Xbox is understanding that these channels are not IGN, right? They're not IGN levels, but Xbox is basically like
Well, they're
it's like a
grassroots for
movement
sure.
almost. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like grassroots movement, right? And it's like
Yep.
you're not going to get this from IGN. You're not going to get people to give it a fair shake in these bigger places. They see that. They know that these bigger outlets are just out there to tug on Sony,
Yeah.
and just leave and always put this extra heat on Xbox, right? Nonstop, right? No matter what they do well, it's always something negative. So, it's better to hear something negative from a fan situation, like from a fan based website or fan based YouTube channel, where they know that you do enjoy Xbox. And if you are saying something that like bad, it's because you actually believe that, and not because you're trying to tear them down, right? There's a difference, right? So I think they're seeing that it's good to get the fans involved in a major way, right? And that's why we love Xbox, man. They do it different.
Indeed. Yeah, they
They
do.
do it different.
They absolutely do. And we're here for it. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out today's show. Big thank you to all of the super chats that came in. As always, we do greatly appreciate it here. And it does allow for Mrs. Boom and I to do the big giveaways. And don't forget, next week, which is going to be November 1st already, which, wow, I cannot believe it. We are doing a $500 giveaway. It's going to be Mrs. Boom's 4th annual Mrs. Boom's birthday bash, where it's her birthday, literally, on November 1st, All Saints Day, if you are religious, and well, we are, so it's a big day for us. But Mrs. Boom was born on that day as well, and well, we're giving away $500 to 10 winners, and those 10 winners are going to receive a $50 gift card of your choice to your platform of choice: Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo eShop. And if you are outside of the Americas, we will send you your money via PayPal. And listen, everybody that shows up to the show has a chance. The first 5 winners will be channel members. The second 5 winners will go to anyone that is in the chat. And it's just our way of giving back. And, well, you guys and gals really do support the channel in a big way. So we want to give back as much as we could. And, of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.